In the Factor follow-up segment tonight, it's looking more and more likely that former Florida Governor Jeb Bush will run for president in 2016. Last month, he announced the formation of a presidential exploratory committee, and earlier this week, in a clear step towards a White House bid, he resigned from all the boards he sat on. Bush's fellow Florida Republican, Senator Marco Rubio, has also been on many short lists of potential 2016 candidates. Here's what he recently said about that prospect.
The decision I have to make is, where is the best place for me to serve America, to carry out this agenda that I have to restore the American dream, given the dramatic economic changes we've had in the 21st century? Where is the best place for me to achieve that? Is it in the Republican majority in the Senate, or is it as a candidate and ultimately as President of the United States?
Whoever ultimately becomes the Republican candidate will probably face off against Hillary Clinton, who at this point remains the clear Democratic frontrunner. So, is Jeb Bush the Republican Party's best shot at defeating her? Join me now to analyze from Washington, D.C., Republican strategist Lisa Boothe, and with me here, hi Lisa, with me here, Mark Hanna, a Democratic strategist. I'm going to start with you, Lisa. Stay right there. Jeb Bush, a lot of people love him, but there are a lot of conservatives who have a lot of problems with some of his policies, i.e. immigration, Common Core, and maybe a stance on taxes.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, there's good and bad with Jeb Bush. And look, Jeb Bush definitely has the experience to be president. He had an incredibly strong economic record as governor of Florida, and he also did exceptionally well with Hispanics. If you look at his second race for governor, he got about 60% of the vote with Hispanics, 14% with African Americans, and he tied with women. And those are all key constituencies that Republicans need to do better with. But you're right to point out that conservatives have some real cause for concern with his stance on immigration and Common Core, and it's really going to be his inability or ability to explain those issues to primary voters that's going to make or break his candidacy. But Democrats have some real problems on their hands with Hillary Clinton. Liberal organizations...
Hang in there, hang in, Lisa. I want to bring Mark in here. Lisa points out some very important things, that if you get through a primary as a Jeb Bush, you got a pretty decent shot against Hillary.
No kidding. And look, I know this is going to surprise you, but I actually have a lot of friends that are sort of in the conservative movement, and they all put their money on Jeb Bush because they have noticed that in the past two cycles, we've got McCain, we've got Romney. Everybody, the common assumption is, oh, well, people have to go to the right. The fact is, you need to be able to bring in big money.
McCain and Romney lost.
Right. McCain and Romney lost in the general, but they won their primary contest. So,
well, how is that good for a conservative? How is that good for a GOP?
Well, Jeb Bush,
you won the primary. Good news, you won the primary. Bad news, you got your butt kicked in the general.
If you had to ask me right now if I was a betting person, I would say Jeb Bush is going to win the primary because he's going to get the early money, he's going to have the Florida vote, and he's going to lose to Hillary Clinton in the general election. And lies
part of the problem, Lisa, is that people believe that that's exactly what would happen with the Jeb Bush, that he could win a primary, but he can't win a general because conservatives won't come out to vote for a guy that has so many issues with conservatives.
Well, I think there is some concern there, but here's the positive thing for Republicans right now, the Republicans with the presidential race, is the fact we have a deep bench. If you look, we've got folks like Governor Scott Walker, we've got folks like Senator Marco Rubio and Rand Paul as well. And so what I'm looking forward to as a Republican is hearing some of those debates. And the reality is we're facing some big issues right now as a country. And I want whoever the Republican candidate is to be able to focus on those kitchen table issues that Americans care about, like rising electricity bills and the fact that their insurance premiums are rising by double digits because of Obamacare.
And I'm going to agree with that, Mark. The problem is it's like a football team.
Right.
Oh, great, you made the playoffs, but you never win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Eventually, you got to win the Super Bowl.
Right. And if the Republican Party is to remain a national party and is going to have any shot whatsoever at winning the presidency, it's going to have to elect somebody that has crossover appeal. Jeb Bush is a big thinker. He is a kind of an intellect for the Republican side. He's going to win over Latino votes because his son is, and he comes from Florida. So there are a lot of strengths that he has. But no question, I agree with Lisa. This is going to be a royal rumble on the Republican side. It's going to get pretty nasty. They're going to beat the bejesus out of each other,
Jesus is fine.
And Hillary's going to just come out unscathed.
Does it concern you when almost every Democrat strategist you talk to says, well, Jeb Bush is the best one? Shouldn't we start to say, well, maybe he's not the best one for that exact reason?
it sounds like Mark's going to turn out and vote for Jeb Bush here. But here's the thing I think it's important to remember. I think Democrats are going to have some real problems with Hillary Clinton. As I was mentioning, liberal groups like MoveOn.org and Democracy for America are actively campaigning for Elizabeth Warren to run. She also owns President Obama's failed record. If you look, Hillary Care paved the way for Obamacare, and she's directly responsible for President Obama's failed foreign policy record. So I think Democrats are going to have some real problems on their hands with Hillary Clinton.
Is Hillary a layup? I mean, there are a lot of who say she may not run.
She has been,
because she's been through the ringer.
Right. And she's going to inherit some of the Obama legacy, and that's going to help and hurt her in various ways. But there's no question. She's right now, on both sides, the most popular politician in America right now. She's been thoroughly vetted. There's no opposition researcher out there who hasn't gone through her archive somewhere and dug up something on Hillary. So she is in a really strong in a strong shape right now.
Lisa, let's talk about this for a second. If Hillary doesn't win, that opens the field up on the Republican side, right? Because if you have Hillary, a very strong front runner, you got to go with the one who's going to compete against her. If you have Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, whomever else, Bernie Sanders, whoever else they're talking about on the Democrat side, those races are winnable with other people other than Jeb Bush.
Well, I think actually what you pointed out is something interesting I think a lot of people aren't really talking about right now with the Democrat Party. If you look at the midterm elections, it was really the extinction of the moderate Democrat. Democrats are definitely shifting more liberal when you look at folks like Elizabeth Warren who are, kind of running the party. And so I think Democrats are becoming a shrinking party. And what you see with Republicans is we're becoming a growing party.
Or can I give you an alternate to that? Well, for a long time, the Republican on the right has been bifurcated between the far-right conservatives and the centrist establishment types. Are you getting the same thing on the Democrat side now? You have the far-left, Elizabeth Warren's, even a Bernie Sanders, almost a socialist, and then you have Hillary, who's kind of down the middle, towards the middle left.
I think in analysis, I think fundamentally, though, it doesn't fly. I think the real far left wing of the Democratic Party is going to come out and be enthusiastic about a Hillary Clinton. I can't say the same on the right. I think you have your sort of religious.
You have your far left is going to be pro-Hillary, given where she is on things like wars and things like Wall Street.
I think
she alienates the far left on some of those issues.
She's grown more populist. You've seen over the past year or two, she's sort of shored up this Elizabeth Warren-esque rhetoric, and she's done it in a convincing way. I think also the Republican side, you've got the establishment, as you said, and you've got religious conservatives. They're not going to support a guy like Jeb Bush, who's got big corporate money behind him and supports immigration reform.
I got to leave it right there. Lisa, Mark, great debate. Thank you very much.